Hello YouTube, this is All Flight Sim. We're on the ground at Alderney using Orbex scenery, and we are in the A2A Comancie, the Papa PA24. Let's just turn a few things on here. Let's have a look. Parking brake is set, so let's put the power on. Just making sure the switches and avionics are off. Should all be off. Let's make sure mixture's in, prop is in, set the power 1/4 inch, make sure the flight landing gear's down, that is actually green, not yellow. Let's put the old beacon on, so I'll switch there. I'm using a Logitech Cytec panels. I've got the multi-panel switch panels and stuff. That's what those clicky noises are. I think we're ready to start. Just need to prime him a few times here. Oops, got the sound off. There we are. Okay, and this is where you shout clear prop. Excuse me. Right, I'm just using my switches on my switch panel. Just put that to start, and start the switch there. Right. Looking for 1000 RPM. Close that window now. That window can be closed. Put the headphones in. Just switching on the avionics. Not really going to be using this, but make sure they're off before starting the engines. It does. A2A actually simulates these fading if you don't. So also need to lean a little bit on the ground here on the PA24. If you don't, again, A2A simulates the build up of carbon on the plugs. Fouling the plugs, you'll lose RPM and stuff. Right, let's just quickly check the headings. Around about 249. Let's just check the HSI is set the same. Nope. Let's just push it in and then turn to 240. That's about. It's not too bad. I'm just going to set.
Echo Golf Juliet Alpha Airport information Whiskey 2303 Zulu weather wind 071 at 17 visibility 10,000 sky condition few clouds at 4,500 temperature 7.2.0 QNH 1020 advise on initial contact you have information Whiskey.
There we are, that's Whiskey. Got information Whiskey. That was just
Echo
tuning
Golf.
into 1220. If you've got Active Sky Next, tune your comms into 122 and you can pick up the latest metadata. If you've got Active Sky Next, you can put in the KO code here, Echo Golf Lima Alpha. That's Alderney. As you can see, winds are 17 knots. Quite windy actually. To watch that coming in to land. QNH 1020. That's Alderney 26th day 2303 Zulu, so it's just a few minutes old. That's the winds at 070, 17 knots. That's visibility is 10 kilometers, about 6 miles. A few clouds at 4,500 feet. Temperature 7 degrees, dew point 0. When they get close together, you can get a bit of build up of dew and stuff on the screens. It steams up. That's the QNH. There's no other significant weather there, so I just have to watch the winds at 17 knots. Winds coming from 070. If you've got Navigraph, if you haven't got it, just Google IGJA or whatever the IK code for your airport is, and look for charts, and you'll be able to pick these up. So we're taking off. The winds are 070 coming this way, so we're taking off runway 08. We're up here somewhere. We're taxiing down Bravo and then backtrack up to 6. Probably do a quick run up here before we do that. So jump back into the sim. Just checking the T's and P's. Temperatures for the oils in the green. Oil pressure's green. They've got quite low, but they are. It's above 0, it's positive. Fuel pressure's green. I've got plenty of fuel in the tanks. It's half full there. Cylinder head temperature's quite low. We just started the engine, so it's expected. Alderney's 383. Let's have a quick look. So don't think I'll be using it much today, but I think it's approach. Yeah, I think it's 383080. That's the ADF. Also on the fuel tanks, let's have a quick look. What are we set to? Set to the tip tanks. It's hard to see, but I've set this particular aircraft up to have those tanks on here. Got one on both sides. Gives you that extra performance. So let's have a look. QNH is 1020. Set that. We can start taxiing up. Let's have a look. I'll just put some flaps up for now. This A2A aircraft's absolutely brilliant. If you want to get a good idea of what it's like to fly a real GA aircraft, I've actually flown a Cessna 152 before, and it's, after many years of practicing on the flight sim, it really does prepare you for it. Just checking the control surfaces up on the left. Oh, up on the right, you can just about see it there. Let's push all the way back, forwards. Okay, control checks are clear. Incidentally, you can get the checklists just by clicking on that tab there and just follow them down. So I'm not going to do, don't have much time here on this particular video. So we need to sort of taxi out and head down this way, down Bravo, and we'll do a quick run up before going onto the runway. Let's have a look. Before we do that, just make sure the we've got the taxi lights are on. We've got the, don't need that yet. Don't need the strobes yet. Don't need the fuel pump yet. We'll put those on in a second. But just realising it's squawking VFR, so just changing that here to 7,000 in the UK. So that's it. I'll just click the ident button. There we are. It's a very quick flight. I'm not going to be on VATSIM for this. There's probably hardly any traffic on it anyway. As I said earlier, if you don't lean it properly, just lean it on the ground, A2A will simulate the buildup of carbon on the plugs, and you will lose RPM. So it's very, very good. It also simulates if you don't use a carb heat properly, you'll lose RPM as well. I'll probably do a video on that later on. I'll just change the view slightly. I'm using chase plane, by the way, to change the views. You can sort of move across the cockpit and all sorts of fancy moves you could do. Chase plane also adds a lot of realism with the turbulence, and hopefully you'll see a bit of that in a minute. So just coming up on Bravo now, short of runway 26 and 8. Let's do a very, very quick run up. I'm using Cytec panels, so I'll just be flicking those switches, but if you don't have it, you can just use your mouse. So I just hold short here. Let's have a look. Right, so I think it's up to 2,000 RPM. There we go, that's about 2,000 we're looking at here. And I'm just going to adjust the prop control. And just cycling the prop here 3 times. Just checking the drops no more than 125 and stuff like that. So it's a bit low on that one, but soon head temperature's coming up. Just make details. I'm just going from the left. Let's just switch here. back to both, and then can you see the drop of an RPM there? That means one of the spark plugs is fouled, so I'm just gonna just trying to clear the buildup of carbon on the spark plug. There we go, that's a bit better. What I was doing there is just alternating the mixture in and out just to blast off the built-up carbon from the plugs. One other check to do before we take off is get back up to 2000. We need to check the carb heat here. This directs hot air from the engine onto the fuel line, so it's, as you can see, there's a bit of a... So as you can see, the A2A aircraft really does simulate things well here, so I can drop that back down to 1000 RPM. If I was on VATSIM now, I'd just announce entering the runway, backtracking. Just keep things simple here. Let's make a right turn here. Just do a very quick circuit. This is Orbeck scenery, Alderney. It's an absolute bargain, so it's worth getting, especially when it's in the sale. Other scenery I've got is I'm just basically using most of the Orbeck's global scenery in prepared version 4.5. Strobe is on, the landing lights are on, fuel pump can come on. Oops, let's make sure I clip that light there. Like I said, I'm using switches on my Cytec panel. If you haven't got those, the switches, obviously just put them on down here. Right, one other check to do before we take off. I've got landing lights on, the strobe are on, actually landing lights aren't on. I don't know how that's done. Just check the trim is set for takeoff. Just put flaps down, stage 1. Okay, give me a left turn out. T's and P's looking good in the green, cylinder temperature's good, so let's just release the brakes, try and follow that centre line. We're looking for 80 knots speed. Speed is building up. About 80 knots will lift off. That's 80, and then we'll just slowly lift up. Okay, just touch the brakes to stop the wheels. Gears going up. Unfortunately, there's 2 switches on the A2A, on the PA24 Comanche. I'll switch it off, that's it. So I'll just climb. I'm just trimming slightly to. Now the RPM we need to make sure it's a bit down, just reducing the prop. So that lever here, that's the just the prop to maintain about 2400. Coming up to 1000 feet. I think the circuit height here is about 1100. Make a left turn 90 degrees. It's a bit windy. Let's just make sure. Scenery. Alderney. Turning on to the crosswind leg. Let's try not to climb too high. There we are, that's 90 degrees. You can see the course of the runways here. We're at 90 degrees of that. Just check left before turning. Here we are. Just turning onto the downwind leg. That ball is just slipping there. I was just trying to get it in this, keep it in the centre. A bit windy, so 17 knots. As you can see, we've turned back onto the opposite It's always good to set your course heading of the runway, so it's a lot easier trying to follow the circuit pattern there. Not doing very well of maintaining altitude. So there's a scenery down here. There's the runway. Where is it? It's just, I think it's there, just on the left-hand side of the wing. They're just going past it. Let's get down to about 1,100 feet. Speeds in the white, we can start dropping. Once it's past this bow, we can drop the flaps to the first stage. That's about 1100. I think the circuit height's 1100 at Alderney, but it was when we flew in here on Vatsim the other day. So the speed's about 100 knots. So I think it's 100 miles per hour on this, actually, not 100 knots, 100 miles per hour. That's 1,100 feet. Let's have a quick look. Where's the runway? The runway's behind us now. Can sort of turning left base 90 degrees again, and then I was going to stop reducing the power. Well, that warning means that the landing gear's not down. Once the RPM drops a certain level, let's just flick that down. Oh, for God's sake! Do it again. That's a problem with the. Sorry about that. Lost track trying to. Sure, it's easier in real life doing this thing. Anyway, look, there's the runway. Got one white, one red, so looking good for the approach. Not quite 90 degrees off the left base, but only 700 feet. And I'll keep the speed. I don't want it to drop too much below the 80. So just trimming the aircraft now. And oops, slightly too low, and we've gone past where we should have turned. Just there we go. Oops, bring it back on track. What a bit of a mess there. Sorry about that. Let's just trim it up. Don't forget we've got those winds as well of 17 knots below me around, but can't use that to blame that messy approach. Alright, so looking good again. One white, one red on the puppies. And fuel pump is on, landing lights are on, mixtures rich prop is back on full. Was trimming landing gears down green, and fuel tanks. We have very short flow. Just going to keep them where they're set now on the tip tanks. Okay, I'll just. Might be a bit bumpy getting down. The runway's quite short here, but it's a bit low. Try not to drop below 80, and then there we go. Let's just drop down now. Oops, I can hear some cattle there. That's the Orbex scenery for you. So there we go. Let's just try and touch down, not too. Whoops, being blown off a little bit there. Oh, there we go. Bit of a rough landing there, but I'll blame the wind. Okay. There we are, brakes are pretty good. And then we'll just turn off. This is where you'd announce vacated the runway. Just going to lean it slightly just on the taxi so we don't foul the plugs. Let's just bring that out a little bit. So. Don't need the landing lights or the strobe anymore. Now the flaps can go up. I think they already are. Keep it about 1,000 RPM for the taxi. Brilliant scenery here. Orbex have made a brilliant job of this Alderney scenery. I'm going to taxi up to GA. This is Bravo taxiway. Let's have a look. Just move, open the window there a bit. Also, this comes with rain effects as well, so maybe I could do a video show you a better approach rather than the terrible one I've just done here in rain. And you can see the rain effects. It simulates prop wash. So if you've got static raindrops on the shield ahead, so you start the engine, it'll blast the rain up the screen. It's very, very good. Right, so let's just find a parking spot. I'll probably park next to that caravan. Up here. So, there we go. Might need a bit more than 1000 RPM to get over the grass. And just line up here and just shut it down. There we go. Right, I think that should do. Right here. Avionics. Actually, I'll just turn these off so we know they're off. Oh, I hope you enjoyed that video. I did mess up the approach a little bit there with the wind, and had a few issues putting the gear down there, but avionics can come off, and taxi lights off. I think the fuel pumps and de-icers, pitos are off. Now then, was just pull out the mixture and the prop, and let's turn the key to the off position. Beacon can come off. Master switch off. Oops, there we go. Parking brake coming on. Well, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please subscribe, and if any questions, please drop them below, and hopefully I'll be able to get more videos up. So this is All Flight Sim. I'll be covering GA flights, everything up from a Cessna 182, 172, right up to Boeing 747-800s, covering PMDG, Just Flight, and many others, A2A aircraft, etc. So just let me know what you want to see, and I'll try and cover it for you. Okay, goodbye.